What's up, you guys? It's Riley here with Learn With Me. And this time we're talking about my Prime-Ark Freedom Blackberry plants again. This is going to be like third or fourth year in a row. I really got to start keeping up with this before I start recording. But yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the about the plant. And, now I have two or three of them now because I've kind of propagated and spread them. But, yeah, it's as resilient as ever. But yeah, let's get to it. When it comes to the Prime-Ark Freedom Blackberry plant, this was, as in previous videos I've said, and I will reference those in the description below, that like this is a breed specifically out of the University of Arkansas around here. So it's actually, that's one thing I really like it about the Memphis area and the 7B, 8A like region, is that like part of the reason I got that blackberry plant and not just any blackberry plant is to make sure that it grew in my area and it was, you know, a strong plant for my area. And as we get into talking about, uh, you know, plants and over the years, as we get to talking about um, what people want in their garden, you should really take into account, like, a variety that is hardy to your area. Because sometimes some things just aren't growing here just for the sheer fact that, not a lot of people like to grow them here, but, some things grow really well here naturally. And, you might just have to find, like, I tell you about the passion fruit, the variety that works best for you. So one thing about blackberries, and this specific one, is that I made sure that it was hardy in the wintertime and it was hardy in the summer, because we get some pretty hot summers, but and our winters are pretty mild, but we can occasionally get ice and snow like just every so often. So I try to make sure that like it's at least that hardy, because even a lot of my perennials I've had for a while, but some still die here and there if there's just like too much ice. If you guys are looking at the top here, just right about here, you're seeing that it's starting to like dry out a bit. It's growing a bit weaker. That's because it's been really hot lately, not a lot of rain. It's been drying out, and it's like the new growth starting to die off. You see, it's not affecting all areas, but there's still some areas where there is struggling. Um, there's plants growing in between this, so I love that it's that resilient that it can grow with other plants just growing around it. As you can see, here's a blackberry here. It's a hardy variety. I've had it for 3 years, and when it does produce, it can produce blackberries that are quite large. Now, one thing that I will tell you, like, even though it can produce blackberries that are quite large, is that you really have to net them. Sometimes I don't really care, but like sometimes I even end up picking them early just because, you know, I just don't feel like waiting for the birds to get to them, because they're very vibrant, they're very strong color to attract other things. But here's a fun fact about these, by the way, is that I this is actually the second crop of the year. And part of the cool thing about it being the second crop of the year is that it actually, like, not all blackberry varieties root on the same, like, twice a year. Like this one will root on the like main canes, I think the prima canes, and then on the new ones later on that year, when some either do it on the new ones or do it on the old ones, depending on how things go. But yeah, that was like the one bummer about me talking about the cold, like, is the fact that it kind of comes like oddly here in Memphis. One thing about it coming oddly here in Memphis is the fact that it can throw off like the season for some plants like that. And so one thing about it throwing it off this year is that we got a second late frost in April, like early April, and like all the plants, we got a heat wave, somewhat of a heat wave, like the week before, that frost, and so all the plants kind of kicked into high gear and started producing. And I was gonna have like a good 50 berries, but it appears that like when that frost came later, it killed off all the new growth. It affected a lot of my trees and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just awesome now that they're producing again. But you know, that's a pretty good feel. So if you don't have to call the whole year a waste, like my pear tree, I'm not getting any fruit all year because if it gets hit with a late frost, it really does not adapt well to it. Yeah. But yeah, that's what we got here. But yeah, that's a little update on the Prime-Ark Freedom Blackberries. I have other videos. I'll tag them below. I'll include them at the end. Um, but that being said, if you want me to talk more about this, let me know if there's anything specific you want me to look into. I'm about to do another garden update. So if there's anything in those videos you want me to do or look more deeply into, I'll definitely don't mind talking more about it. But yeah, I highly recommend the Prime-Ark Freedom Blackberry variety, and hope that you know, if you're in this area, you attempt it, or at least attempt a variety local to your area that for a fruit that you like. You know, I grow passion fruit, I grow blackberries. You know, I like blackberries, so I was just, you know, I wanted to get it going. Now I might have it all around my yard. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment, you know, share this video with a friend. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys later. Look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a great one.